Hello and welcome back to the fifth round of GG Challenge here at Lime Rock. First up we have you race, Andy.
Yep. I qualified all the way down in P26, which wasn't ideal, but I didn't really manage to get in a good lap. And then starting from the back, trying to avoid too much contact and traffic in general. But people behaved quite well, so it was all good.
It's also split one.
But yeah, I should have been able to put in a faster lap and gaining, I don't know, at least 5 more positions in qualifying. But yeah, didn't happen this time. But I was more confident in the race setup, so hope to gain some positions. But yeah, a bit of contact down here, a guy dive bumping on the inside. But yeah, again, first lap, just trying to keep out of everyone's way, which almost worked. And here, into turn 1, there was an incident in front. I slowed down a bit. The guy behind me didn't, so he hit me and spun me out into the grass, but nothing really happened. No, exactly. I didn't even get damage from it. But
did you gain a position?
I don't think I did there. I think I lost positions again. And then needed to get back into the rhythm. Lost a few more positions here. Simoncic just went for his drive-through, so almost gained a position there to follow him through, but didn't really stick on the outside. Also, at this turn, being on the outside, it just loses the rear end so quickly. And then, of course, following the guy, cutting some grass, following the guy that makes a mistake in front of you, also a typical mistake. Yeah. So lost the position, but then gained a position as well. So, and at this time, I was quicker than the Porsche, I felt. So started to push and worked fairly well. A lot of incidents, so again, just keeping out of that. Starting to push, and the car felt good for once. I had a bit of back and forth with the setups during the last couple of races where the balance hasn't really been there. The tire wear has been uneven, but of course.
I wasn't happy with the setup the last 2 rounds.
Exactly. I wasn't either. The car felt great initially, but didn't throughout the race. So here the balance was actually great, and it was great the entire race. We drove on the hard tires, so was able to push for some overtakes as here, but nothing to do. The door was closed.
It was a general hard track to overtake people.
It was. We ran a bit lower downforce than most, so that was pretty easy to defend on the straights unless we did some big mistakes, like here. But to either catch or defend on the straight was fairly easy, and the tire wear front to back was very even. So again, the balance of the car was great throughout the race, and it was easy to adjust throughout the race. And that was something I had practiced, at least, how to just slightly adjust the driving style to either wear the front or rears a bit more. But I did overdrive the tires a bit, so I think halfway through the race I realized I needed to back off a bit, which made some of the cars from behind come closer, and I was mainly defending. But I had to keep the tire wear under control. So it was fairly easy to relax, get the tires under control, but the car was still a bit too nervous, twitchy. I think generally it was just the pace of the others were high, so I had to push, I had to try, and then overdriving the car a bit.
We see a lot that the rear end of the car is sliding a bit.
Yeah, exactly, like here as well. A lot of oversteer, which just lost a bit of traction, speed onto the straight. But once we were on the straight there, we could actually keep up, be beside him. But then I was, of course, in the wrong position. But I can't remember, I think with 10-15 minutes left, I was able to start pushing again. So as you see here, caught up to the guys in front. Of course, there was also a big train, which made it a bit easier, but could actually catch up to them, could pressure the guys in front, could keep the pressure for most of the time, and again, people making mistakes, gaining positions. So I think I was up in P15 at this point, which again, starting P26 was fairly good. Again, people making a few small mistakes, so some position gain. But then the leaders came to lap us, and here it was P3, 4 and 5, which had been on my back for a few corners and I got a drive-through. But even though they got through, they didn't immediately just get away. So of course they were quicker, but not by a huge margin. So I didn't really feel I was in their way, but that's how it is. So I had my drive-through, came out again in lap traffic, tried to keep out of the way.
It was a bit hard to not get a drive-through on this track, I think.
Yeah, it was, and I think a lot of people did. So I came out in P17, and here, not this time. It's better defending into turn 1. Had done it quite a few times throughout the race. But yeah, lost the position in the end here in the moment. I think maybe he changed tires. He seemed to have a lot of traction out of corners and through corners in general. So got down to P18, which was also fairly okay, but of course not what I ideally would have wanted. But
from 26?
It's okay, and again split 1. Ending the race, when I crossed the finish line, it said I was up in P15. So I think there was a few drivers who had drive-through penalties, as you say, from lapping.
On the official stream, you can see that on the last lap, I think it was one car went into the pit.
So some might not have served the penalties, but your race, you got a good start.
My race, I qualified in the P9, so a bit decent qualifying from
Much
my
better.
side.
Good qualifying.
And I was lucky to stay out of trouble in the first corner, as we can see in the back. There was a lot of people hitting each other and a bit of bumping cars. No, I was... what's that called?
You practice more on your qualifying setup.
I was focused on the qualifying because the 2 last rounds I was focused more on the race setup. So this time I tried to practice a bit more on the qualifying, and that paid out. So this round I just had to keep people behind me because I wasn't faster than them. That's sure. Just out for the looking at the screen now.
Yeah, when we spoke after the qualifying, you were quite surprised that no one actually beat your time. You kept your time up there. So, but you did small mistakes like this, but generally you had a good race.
It was decent, even though later I will get a drive-through as also Andy got. So but I was just trying to keep people behind me and trying not to hit the curbs, because the curbs on this track is a bit high, and if you hit them you will probably end in the wall. So I was taking it a bit slow, if you can say that.
As slow as you can do with that.
So here the car in front of me made a mistake, so I got through and hit the curb, and I think he touched my rear end of the car, so he was turning into my back end, and then
which made you turn into him.
So I wasn't able to drive to the right, so we ended up in the grass. But luckily no one of us didn't.
I didn't end your races or anything.
And as we can see here, I was lapped by the second place, and because I didn't let him through I think it was before the chicane, he came up to me, and I was thinking that I can let him through on the main straight, and then I got a penalty just before the straight. So after the the drive-through, I drove
cold tires. Let's say cold tires.
Yeah, cold tires. I drove to the chicane and spun out because I upshifted a bit too early, and then I had to wait for all the cars to get through, because you have to enter the track safely, and if you don't do that you will get another penalty. So I was trying to do it safely.
You could see you tried to spin the car around, but it didn't work, and you just can't see anything on top of the hill there. So
I was just patiently waiting in the cars coming through. And I think after the drive-through and the crash, I was at P21. So from P9 to P21 in about half an hour, 40 minutes. Then I have 20 minutes to gain a lot of position. Luckily, I think some other people got some drive-throughs, and some people didn't finish the race. And
good overtaking here.
Yeah,
late braking and
it was actually for P16.
Yeah.
So And in the end, I ended in the P16 from P9. And the last 2 races, compared to this was a decent race from my side. And I am quite happy about it.
Yeah, me as well. The race was better, car felt better, and again, mid positions for both of us is quite good.
Yeah.
So
the overall feeling about the car was decent this time.
Yeah. Let's bring that with us to the next round, to the final round, which is at Daytona.
And that is not only an hour, it's 1.5 hours.
Yeah, so let's do something with the strategy there, hopefully. Well,
maybe 1 pit stop or 2.
We'll see.
No one knows. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Woo! Meow. Meow.